or?
No, you can introduce the network.
Okay, yeah. So welcome everyone. Today is September 26, 2023. And today we are meeting one more time with Asian Supervisors Network. And our goal is to bring visibility to supervision. So we meet once a month and we have people from all over the world to come and present on different supervision topics. Our goal is to bring more visibility about what is supervision and how it works in Asian Pacific region. And we have been meeting for a couple of years, and there are several recordings already available in our website. So if you go to the Asian Supervisors Network website, you will find all of these recordings available. I think around 24 recordings already. And I think Michel had presented in the past. So this is, I don't know if your second or third time, Michel, presenting over
I don't remember.
over the last 3 years. Michel has been a very consistent participant, even though he's in France, in Paris, and it's very early in the morning, so this time is not good for Europe, but he has been committed and he has been showing up. So I want to recognize Michel for your commitment to bringing visibility. And for people who do not know Michel, he's one of the pioneers of coaching supervision worldwide. In Europe, he is in part of the European Mentoring Coaching Council Excellence Group. It's called Excellence Circle of Supervision, working on bringing supervision to the next level worldwide. And also he has written several books in French on supervision topic. And this is the last one he wrote, and he's going to be talking about that today. Michel, all yours. You can share anything else you want about you and anything you want to say, and we have 1 hour.
Okay. So, first of all, I'm sorry because I need some time to warm up, but
okay.
But so I'm going to talk about trends in supervision and in coaching industry in general. The book I have twisted the arm of a number of contributors to, including Damien, to publish it. And so I'm going to share my screen. It's going to be easier. So this is a quick information about me. Essentially, I spent most of my life in IBM as a manager and executive. And 20 years ago, I left that big company to become a coach. That's the story. And a bit later, a supervisor. These are some of the books I published. And we are going to talk about the last one, the big one on the top left. So essentially, I have only one slide, so it's not going to be long and boring. And this is the slide. So first look, it looks a bit messy, but I'm going to explain what it is. So on the right, you have the market. And the market is pushing a number of requirements. And on the left, the intrication of our industries with professional bodies in the middle here. Professional bodies who try to manage the evolution of coaching. So presently we have individual coaching, we have team coaching, but there are a number of groups here and there who are doing some other kind of coaching, team of teams coaching, which is also called in France organizational coaching, internal coaching. There are coaching resources, etc., etc. I think that all these categories of coaching are presently active, and all these people are organizing themselves in professional bodies, and each professional of these multiple professional bodies, they want to have what I call the basic toolkit. They want to have their own competence framework. They need specific articles in the code of ethics. They want accreditation, quality award for training, blah, 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 blah. And so if you see where coaching is going, then you can imagine where supervision is going. Now, professional bodies are not alone in the world. They have a lot of frictions with regulators, both public regulators and private regulators. And they also, technology is an important factor on the market. And technology, you can see on the slide that it's not only AI, it's virtual reality, improvement in communication, tools for reflectivity. I mean, and it's evolving very, very, very fast. Now, another factor which is more and more important are the platforms. I don't know if you are dealing with platforms. Personally, I have a number of supervisors, about 10 per week, who work for platforms. So they have a contract with platforms. They must take the coaches. They have no choice. The sessions are 1 hour. They are paid $90 per hour. And most of them have 20, 25 sessions, coaching sessions a week. And they live like that. So it's, and they work for Coach Hub or platforms like that. I don't know which platforms you have in your region. And platforms, the characteristic of platforms is that they give to the coach the objectives and indicators, and most of the time the coach is not in direct contact with the sponsor, he's in direct contact with the coachee, of course, but he has no direct contact with the company. So the three-way meetings are done with the coachee and the platform, but the coach doesn't know, let's say, the HR manager or the sponsor of the mission. Also, the platforms are, in fact, changing the shape of coaching, and so platforms are just like professional bodies. They have an influence on the profession, on the coaching profession, and therefore on the supervision profession. They start to provide supervision, and also we know that they plan to use technology to replace humans by AI, by bots, and they invest a lot of money for that. And of course, there is research, which is an important factor in our industry, and also on the bottom paradigms, because we have a lot of coaching tools and supervision tools for intrapersonal, for interpersonal, for systemic, but now there is an emerging piece of knowledge and techniques, which is energetic. So energetic, it's, you know, in systems theory, the elements are interrelated. and in energetics, they are interconnected. It's like the human body. All cells are connected to all other cells through the nerves, and probably you are familiar with that because of the traditional Chinese medicine, which is an energetic approach of medicine. At that time, do you have questions?
Any questions anybody want to ask? It caught my attention, Michael, like if a platform hires a coach for 20 hours per week for 52 weeks, and this is around 1,040 hours at $90, is around $93,000 per year. What is not bad for not having to have to do any marketing, and it's only 20 hours of your week. So it's for a part-time work, getting that, it sounds like for coaches that are starting can be not bad. I don't know what people think about that.
No.
So I'm on ASAP, and they provide the supervision. They have it once a quarter, and you just sign up for whatever session that you want. That's how I met Paul, Damien. So those sessions are group sessions. So I think from that perspective, it's a little bit different from one-on-one supervision. But I think the thing there, as you demonstrated, Damien, during ICF Converge, group supervision gives you a different perspective. And when you do that, you look at things that other people look at, which you may not be able to see. So there are some benefits in doing group supervision as well. So I was happy to experience that.
Great.
Now, now collective, the technology is going to influence coaching and supervision very soon. And probably what we will have very soon is on our screen when we coach or we supervise, we are going to have little windows where the IA will provide you with information about the other person. For instance, I probably will have a little window on the bottom left saying about Damien, saying, well, he's tense, he's about to cry. Information about the emotions, even analysis of what Damien is saying. For instance, in the little window will say, he's lying. Don't believe what he said, he's lying. Things like that.
You know, do you know that right now you can all get through these meetings a summary of the session? Is everybody getting that? Do you know that? That Zoom now offers summary of this session. So what I had a session with my client last week, and then I got the summary of our session, and I sent it to him with a summary of everything we have discussed. And it's not a transcript; it's like a summary. It's really cool, and my client was blown away about getting the summary.
Yeah.
Great service done by AI.
But it's not finished. What you are going to have also is a second little window saying, giving information about the relationship. For instance, the alliance is 60%, it's decreasing. And there will be a third little window on the right about me, saying, you talk too fast.
What question you may ask? I heard that also. What question you may ask the client? It may help you to do the coaching.
Yeah. So it's going like piloting a Boeing, you know, a number of screens and information and counters about what's going on in the session. But I mean, it's not a joke, huh? So back to my little graphic. So you see, yeah, Alex, you have something to say?
Yes, I have a question. So it's interesting to see government and public sector on the market side. And, I see France and Italy. And is there any, that government level of regulation or interventions to coaching or coaching supervision in Europe?
Yes, there are, yeah. A number of governments are trying to control coaching. I mean, either they control the denomination or they control the content, or they, in France, they control the training. If we don't French coaches, I mean, in French schools comply to some conditions, then the students will not be financed. In Italy, they even control the denomination. For instance, the Italian government is upset with the fact that EMCC is, after the training, is giving a certification, while ICF is giving an accreditation, and so they want to twist the arm of ICF so that ICF and EMCC, so they align. I mean, so the regulation in Europe is different in different countries, and there are also regulations from the European Union. For instance, recently, and I've been part of that, 10 professional bodies proposed definitions of coaching, supervision, and mentoring to European Union. European Union accepted, and they call that the charter. And in that charter for all Europe, there is a common definition of coaching, supervision, and mentoring. And I saw recently that ICF is all over the world is more or less accepting these definitions. So, of course, I mean, it took us 2 years to create the definitions. So now the question is, what are we going to do now that team coaching is on the place? How are we going to change the definition to include team coaching? I have no idea, but we have to do that. And
I'm really curious how coaches or coaching supervisors responded to this government regulation, because to my perspective, if anything government related, automatically related to the bureaucracy. So
yeah, it's very bureaucratic. We spend a lot of time on that, or we lose a lot of time on that. But the idea from the government here is that coaching cannot be out of control. For the security, for the coaching must be at such level of quality that the clients, the clients and companies are not at risk of being abused by coaches.
Yeah, I think in Korea, maybe we might, some part we need it, because in Korea, to be a coach, the entry is very low. So anyone can be a coach because they can easily get a certificate in Korea. So I think this is very interesting view, like the quality control, right? The quality
Yes.
control government, intervene, right? Yeah, so very interesting.
And I have a quick question to Damien. So I see actually the flag on top of that I can, that there is going to be summary of this Zoom meeting. So anybody can access to this summary at the end of Zoom meeting, or is it going to be distributed by you?
It's whatever I don't think it's automatic. I think I receive it and then I do whatever I want with that, if I want to share or not, or whatever I want to do with it. So basically, I'm sorry?
You have to provide the movie.
It's not automatically, it's automatic. When you finish the session, I am receiving summaries on all of my meetings. Everything that I am doing, I receive a summary in a few hours. Not immediately. It takes some time. I don't know how it works. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
And then you share that with whoever you want. I mean, share the summary of the session with you if you want to see what it has to say.
Yeah, I would like to see how it looks like.
Yeah. So I need your email from Anna. I think I have everybody's email but Anna. So Anna, if you want to write your email here so I can send it to you too.
Okay. Thank you, Damian. Thank you, Michel.
Yeah.
So, but if we have a look again at my little graph, the fact is that everything is interconnected to everything on that and I don't know which one. For instance, technology is a very influential factor, but platforms are also a kind of very powerful factor. And well, I don't know. In fact, I don't know what is the trends. I just propose you a kind of logic to think about the trend. And so with that logic, you can interpret the news, what is going on, and which part of the graph will prevail. That's you see, for instance, regulators can suddenly become a very powerful factor. I don't know. Maybe U.S. government or I don't know. Maybe Trump will be elected and say, well, coaching is too messy. We have to regulate. I don't know. Possibly. And also you see paradigms on the bottom. It's incredible what coaches and supervisors can invent. It's very surprising. When I became a coach, there was nothing else that transactional analysis, a bit of psychodynamic, a bit of NLP. You know, there was 4, 5 frameworks. Now, I mean, 5 pages, a list of 5 pages of paradigms, tools about coaching and supervision. It's not enough to describe what we are using. Every week there are new tools, new methodologies, new things. You know, psychotherapists, for instance, a psychoanalyst is using one framework, psychoanalysis. That's it. In coaching, in fact, we have the same methodology for coaching, but we can plug on this methodology a lot of tools and approaches and theories. And the fact that coaching is pluralist make it a bit more complex. And we don't know what coaches can invent to improve coaching and supervision, especially if coaches are entering the energetic field. Also, I have heard about research on brain functioning. Some research in Italy, in Milan, at the university, where they do group supervision and the supervisees are plugged what the researchers are measuring some body elements like blood pressure, like temperature, like things like that, and they try to connect that with what is said during the supervision, and so establishing a kind of understanding of how the body reacts to what is said during the supervision. I mean, this is also a way of the future to maybe have a better understanding of the relationship between a coach and a supervisor, or between a coach or a coach and a coachee. So you see, all that is, I mean, the factor is that it's accelerating. So, and it's accelerating a lot. And in fact, I have to admit, I really don't know where we go, but we go there fast. Next year will not be like this year. Now, for us, professional bodies, and currently ICF is creating a supervision competence framework, probably you know. For us, when we create competencies, a framework of competencies, how should we create it? In fact, the question is, we are not enough to create small groups, but we can maybe discuss. So shall we go to only one competence framework, including all what's going on? Or should we have one competence framework to segment of coaching? Should we, for instance, have for supervision of team coaching, should we have a separate competence framework? Or should we include supervision of team coaching in the supervision framework? What do you think? Damien first.
Well, I think that we have this question at the ICF Board of Directors about if including the diversity, for example, diversity inclusion should be different competencies or should be included in the other competencies. And I can see both, because if you include an element of diversity in each competency, you may be even more aware that you have just one competency for that. So when you are listening, are you listening for diversity, for the differences and how they are playing? When you are creating awareness, are you paying attention to systemically how the system that you are and systems of oppression are influencing the relationship between men and women at work? So right now, ICF is, for example, I can't talk about that because I'm very familiar with that model, but I know EMCC is not very different. They are pretty similar. I think the only difference, for example, with team coaching is that EMCC is more comprehensive. Like ICF has 8 competencies, and I think EMCC for team coaching have 12 or 16, something like that. They have more, they think a little bit more comprehensive what they're thinking about. And I think they have one specific that is about diversity, if I am not wrong, about team coaching, just focusing on that at the MCC. Michel, is that correct?
Well, I'm not sure, in fact. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not familiar with team coaching competencies. I'm only interested in team coaching supervision competencies at the moment.
That's interesting. And I do believe that this should be integrated. In one way or another, you need to be aware that you need to be paying attention to that. In one way or another, I do believe that in the same way that we're thinking systemically and we're thinking about the systems, about how society, politics, economics, climate change, natural disasters, how all of that is influencing our work, I also believe that we need to be paying attention about diversity and how diversity is playing in our relationships at all different levels. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, but in fact, I mean, what I see is that coaching competencies are not up to speed, I would say, are not at the level we need they should be. They should include something about, for instance, climate or collapse. The fact that clients are sometimes they are concerned with the fact that yes, the collapse is possible, and this should be included in the coaching competencies. Now, of course, supervision competencies should also be updated, but this is what we do currently. In EMCC, we are updating the current competencies, and ICF is creating its own competencies. I don't know where they go, but and I hope it will not be too far from each other. Otherwise, it will be a mess on the market. But of course, we have to include all these new elements about team coaching, about reflexivity, maybe about creativity, maybe about societal issues, the one on the bottom, and all that, climate, diversity, all things like that. And in fact, even there, I don't know where we go, because the communication between the two groups trying to design competencies, the communication is very slight, in fact. I am invited from time to time to the ICF meetings about competencies. We invite in our group some ICF supervisors, but there is no real communication between the two professional bodies at the top. It's we just ignore each other. So therefore, I don't know what will result of all that. Any idea, Damien? Maybe you have more information.
Yeah, but it's going to be good to hear from other people. What I can say about associations is it will never come up with one code of ethics, with one competency model, because there are economical reasons. There are financial reasons where associations, even though ICF is a non-for-profit, it's a professional association, still there is a management company that is running it, and they are not, they are for profit. So these are definitely what bring and what make ICF grow from 20 employees to 100. And that's the reason why MCC got behind, because it's depending only on volunteers. So I don't see that happening. As an internal, I've been the past president and knowing internally what's happening between politics, between associations and organizations.
Okay, now.
But I wonder what other people think too. What other people here are thinking about that, or any comments about the other question that we're talking about, the competencies? Let's hear from other people too.
What do you think after that short presentation? What's now your view of the future of coaching and supervision? How that will influence the way you supervise?
I have two thoughts. So the first, your question about, how many supervision competencies do we need for the all different kinds of, different types of coaching? I don't think, that we can provide all framework for all coaching, all types of coaching. So I think the beauty of having a framework is that it makes life easier to manage. So it needs to be comprehensive and relevant and manageable, but that we don't expect that any framework to encompass all the possible scenarios in coaching. So I think, that there is some discretion part in terms of interpretation of people who abide by competencies. So that's my personal perspective. And also, that the question I have is that how does ethics related with using technology, something like, ChatGPT? Because I think, obviously we are leaving the traces of, client information if we involve ChatGPT or any type of, technology. I mean, I think, that it may be stored in somewhere. So how does, that this using technology can be regulated by ethics of the, some of the professional bodies or the governments? So I think those, those are a couple of questions that pops up.
Yes, this is a question. Another question is that supervisors of helping profession which are not coaching, for instance, psychologists or social workers, I mean, they have, all these professions have supervision. So these people are at our door saying, why don't we merge supervision of coaching with supervision of social workers, psychologists, and make a unique big framework of supervision of helping professions, including supervision of nurses, doctors, supervision of everything, including, for some people, supervision of managers or supervision of executives. So EMCC position, I don't know what is ICF position. The EMCC position is no. I mean, as coaching will be more and more complex, supervision of coaching is and will be complex enough so that we don't open the door to other helping professions. This is our, so keep it simple, this is our position. ICF, we don't know because ICF is creating its own way of supervising. So probably at the moment in the ICF meetings, they are discussing that question among a lot of other questions. But it's quite a complex task they are in. So, but there is also that question which is open. Should we create a big supervision framework? I think the pressure will increase over time because there is a big professional body in Eastern Europe which was able to put together all the different supervisors of all different helping professions, and they are already 12,000. So the power of that body is growing. So at the moment they are only in Europe, but maybe they would like to extend all over the world. So maybe in 10 years' time, I mean, we will have coaching, supervision of coaching and supervision of all other helping profession, and the connection or the merge will be on the table. This is another trend. Are you familiar with that, Damien?
Some, not a lot, but yes.
Yeah. But that exists. I mean, 12,000 members. I mean, it's something for a professional body only dedicated on supervision. But not our supervision. Supervision. For instance, I don't know if I would be able to supervise social workers.
This is a good question, and I think Sophia and Alex are also very experienced supervisors, so they might also be able to share to their opinions. Do you think with the training as a supervisor, you may be able to supervise other professions, not only coaches?
Personally, I supervise psychologists.
But because you're a psychologist too.
Yeah.
I don't think I can supervise a social worker because I don't know, their specific work frames. And I don't like the idea of the supervision get merged with other helping profession. Because I think the reason I love coaching supervision is because of its emphasis on collaborative inquiry through reflective dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
But if we merge, that with other professions just to supervise, it is really supervise over the shoulder of what they do. And I may contradict myself. If it is, that just having a really reflective dialogue in the form of collaborative inquiry, I may supervise social worker. Yeah.
It's
Well,
interesting. Sorry.
This other professional body, for instance, they supervise doctors. And now there is always that famous question of boundaries. So they supervise doctors and nurses. And the question is, why don't we supervise surgeons?
Well, what is interesting, Michel, about this too, for us to reflect, is that social workers, for example, will require that the supervisor is a trained mental health professional. But there are other professions, like, for example, teachers. That happened to me, that a teacher, somebody who is a teacher, want to reflect on his work as a teacher. Or can be a professor at a university, or can be, I don't know, a dentist who wants to come to reflect on what's happening to some of his patients. That's interesting. I think that we may offer this reflective space for them to do the work. We are not mentoring, we are not teaching, we are just holding a space for them to reflect on their work. So if part of the supervision is to help people to supervise, to see their job at a distance and to reflect on that, and we don't need to mentor, we don't need to give information, why we cannot do that for other professions? And then the question also, what is relevant to our conversation here, is team coaching. Does the team coach needs to be supervised, needs to have trained as a team coach? If you're a supervisor, supervising a team coach. Because I believe that, well, okay, I want to hear from you and then I would say what I believe. What do you think? Do you think that the team coach, a supervisor, it's okay to supervise a team if he or she doesn't have experience as the team coach?
Okay, yeah, and before going there, I'm really interested in hearing Anna's and Kevin's perspective on the topic.
Yes, what do you think?
For me, yeah, I think it's possible partially because we teach coaching to leaders, right? So they do coaching leadership. There is a coaching leadership, right? That doesn't mean that they are coaches for their team members, right? So they utilize the coaching skills and coaching competency when they lead their team. So I think supervision also can be utilized when with other profession. Yeah, partially, not like whole. But my other question is then, well, what is the difference from coaching? If supervisor provides supervision to other profession, then what's the difference from coaching? Yeah, that comes to my mind. Anyway, it's reflecting their work. So
that's a great question.
That's
a great question. That's a great question.
Yeah. But the question is, what is a helping profession?
Kevin, what do you think? Should we hear from Kevin too?
So I'm new to this. So my thoughts on this is whilst supervisors or trained supervisors or certified supervisors may be ready and willing to go supervise psychologists or social workers or whatever, the question is, are the psychologists and social workers willing to be supervised by a person who has gone through our supervision process? I think that is the question rather than the other way around.
Yeah, I'm also a psychologist. I think I don't want to get supervision who doesn't have a psychology background. Only just, yeah, I don't think for now. Yeah, I don't think, because
well, I mean, we already have the problem in France where psychologists don't want to be supervised by coaches because there is a revenue gap. There is a big revenue gap because a coach is earning about 4 to 5 times what a psychologist is earning. And so it creates something in the relationship which is not good. So,
Anna, I think that you want to say something. Do you want to share anything else, Anna?
yeah, and also I'm just add to the answer. So I study coaching psychology, and sometimes, yes, who study psychology, they have like, I don't know, it's pride, or I don't know, they have this they think it's expertise, like psychology based on do coaching based on the psychology. So it's hard to accept who doesn't have a background in psychology supervise those people. That's it. I think it's hard to take, I think, at first. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. In the end, maybe the supervisors are really good at it, then it doesn't matter in the end. But still, at first, there'll be some resistance, I think.
I did some research on that, on a population of coaches and psychologists, and measuring what is their ego defenses. I don't know if you know the ego defenses. What is it?
Ego defense?
Ego defenses. It's defenses are some in.
I know.
Okay, fine. And what I have discovered is that there is an ego defense which is called pseudo-altruism.
What?
Pseudo-altruism. Altruism is giving. Altruism is be in service of other people. You hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Pseudo-altruism, yeah, exactly. And what I've seen on quite it's a population about 40 is that there is a big difference between psychologists who are more in real altruisms and coaches who are clearly in pseudo-altruism.
Okay, and that part also. And other thing is that I think it's all about expertise. It's all about expertise. So there should be a guarantee that like there are really good supervision course that people really have a expertise on it. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll just say here till here. Yeah, because I don't know, in Korea I told you that we have comparably it's easier to get a coach certificate, so it's hard to prove their expertise. Of course, many people have expertise, but sometimes the quality cannot be guaranteed by coaches, right? And then how there's no clear like 100% standard. We don't have as well.
And that is worldwide, it's not only in Korea. I want to share with you for you to know. This is what you know.
So maybe it's not about whatever it is. It's about only real expertise. Yeah.
So that's the reason why it's so important to have.
In Germany, they train. In most of Eastern countries, they train supervisors at the university at least 2 years. at least 2 years at the university and up to 4.
This is what I want to say.
The standard at university is 450 hours, while our supervisor training is about 150. I don't know. Mine ESQ8 is 150. So
mine too. Mine too.
So
EMCC required.
Yeah.
What EMCC requires when I was 50, so that I had to do that whatever they told me to do, so I had to follow the guidelines. Now listen to this. We need to start wrapping up. And what I want to bring to Anna, to your attention, what you're sharing about Korea is a global concern. So the International Coach Federation had a research done every year where they talk about the condition of coaching worldwide, and the number one concern for all of the coaches are coaches who call themselves coaches without enough training and don't do a good job. So this is a big concern at the global level. Coaches who don't have enough training, calling themselves coaches and give a bad reputation to coaching as a professional practice. And the hours, 150 hours, that TMCC is requiring, it seems a lot to me, to the participant of the program too. But you see how in the bigger picture, maybe not enough. Now, I am a psychologist too, so I have that background. And what I know from my colleagues is that to become a psychologist, and Michel, you are too, we need to study 5 years or 6 years and have very long studies compared to what a coach training is. And so in terms of learning about mental health and going deepening, the psychologist is much more trained. So there is logic, jealousy to coaches and say, wow, they get training for 20 hours, 40 hours, 125 hours to get a credential with ICF, let's say. And then they start charging, and they may charge twice as much as what I charge as a psychologist. Yeah. So there are reasons to have some jealousy but there are different goals. Therapy, as you're talking about altruism, Michel, therapy is about mental health issues. Coaching, not. Coaching is about personal effectiveness. So there are different goals.
That our coaches are well, and they want to become even more.
So we need to wrap up.
Coaching and coaching supervision are performance oriented, while there is a whole set of helping profession which are oriented towards suffering or transmitting. So it's different history.
Any last question for Michel?
This is what I have to say.
I wonder if anybody have any question for you, Michel, before we go. Anybody have any other question for Michel or comment you want to make before we go?
Thank you, Michel, for waking up that early to give us this presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being long at warming up. Yeah, okay, fine.
That was great.
It was interesting. I got a few new ideas, so with your questions and reflections.
Yeah, I also get a new perspective, and my thinking is like very expand, because like the question is like, okay, supervision can apply to other professions. That's like that's really expanding question, expanding my thought question. Like, oh, really? So it was very interesting.
And you have a document in English, correct? You have, Michel, like a document with all of this in English that you may share with us? Do you have that? Something that you sent it to me, remember that it was like kind of a summary of the book or with some of the trends in a document?
You're talking to me or to
Anna? to you, if it's okay to share that document with everybody.
I can. I have a summary of all that in a document that I already sent that to you, but I can resend, no problem.
That would be great. If you can resend it to me, I will forward that to all of the participants here. And if anybody is listening later and want that, I will make that accessible so people can have access to that.
Okay, do that right now.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for sharing.
Thanks, Miriam.
And
Yeah,
Anna,
I'm going to bring lots of Korean coaching supervisors to here.
great. So Anna, we hope you come back next month. We meet every last Wednesday of the month at the same time, and we have different speakers. I don't think we have anybody confirmed for next month. Alex, would you like to present next month since you are here? How is your schedule?
My schedule is quite full until the end of the year.
Okay, well, next year, I hope that you can contribute with us. So thanks, everybody, and we're going to be in communication. Okay, thanks for coming. Thank you, Kevin, for coming back, and Anna, and thank you, Michel, for being with us.
Bye.
Take care.
Ciao, merci.
Bye.